LeBron James said he doesn't know why the NBA is planning to have an all-star game and even called it a slap in the face. For more, I'm joined by our Ben Pickman and the fantasy exec, Corey Parson. And guys, obviously the pandemic is a big aspect here, but I think from LeBron's point of view, which I understand, he's talking about the quick turnaround that the Lakers had and wanting a break there at midseason. At the same time, when you look at the All-Star voting returns, they're up 70%, and the Players Union also agreed to the game. So I think sometimes this is one of those cases where maybe the critics of what's going on are louder, but the general fan base isn't as upset, Corey.
Yeah, general fan base isn't as upset. Like you said, they're voting for the stars. They want to see the game played. I think it's kind of came about. The NBA said they wouldn't have an All-Star game. I think that's where LeBron is upset. But once the season started and you see all this good young talent, they're probably thinking, you know what? Let's try to put one on. And then their union, the NBA Players Association, agreed with that. So I can understand why LeBron James is upset right now. Listen, I get it. Playing deep into the year this year and then coming back with the quick turnaround, thinking you're going to have a little 5 days off to rest or be with your family or whatever, and then to get thrown with an All-Star game. Listen, he said he's going to be there physically, but not mentally. I'm willing to guarantee you LeBron James will be there physically and mentally.
Well, look, I mean, sometimes that's in the heat of the moment, and some time allows you to process it. But Ben, there's a lot of people who think LeBron speaks for the NBA in general. Obviously, that's not the case here.
Well, I think we're going to have to see if it's the case and see if things do change, right? I think it's certainly a fair criticism of the NBA and the PA right now about why is there an All-Star game in the first place? We're amid this pandemic, and is it putting players at unsafe risk and unfair risk, right? We see this potentially as just a TV ratings poll, right? Obviously, we know the All-Star game is going to get a good number. It's going to generate some revenue for the league. And so is there a general purpose for the game other than that, right? You can still provide the acknowledgments of an All-Star and an All-Star game like the NFL did this year with a Pro Bowl. I think at the same time, though, right, you have to believe, or some choose to believe, that the PA and the league have enough evidence to believe that it's safe to put on this game, or else they otherwise wouldn't be doing it. But I do think this raises another issue about transparency, right? And so, I think from both a player's perspective and a general public perspective, we don't have a lot of information on our end to evaluate this correctly or to the fullest ability to say, is this the safest thing to do? And it seems like a lot of players right now are in the dark or unclear of how this is actually going to be done in a safe manner. And so the lack of transparency, the lack of information about how the league is going to put on a safe All-Star game also is an issue in this scenario. And I think that leads to the criticism of LeBron and the criticism of De'Aaron Fox, among others.
Well, selfishly, I love the NBA All-Star Game. Obviously, I wouldn't want any unnecessary risks. I give the NBA the benefit of the doubt for how they've handled things in the past. And I also think in this case, we're talking about LeBron's individual perspective, which I totally get, considering where he's at in his career and what he just went through. Corey, go ahead.
I know you said you're a big fan of the All-Star game, but you can just watch the Brooklyn Nets because those totals are probably coming around the same defensively.
Well, yeah, and all three Nets should probably be starters in the All-Star game.